seeing people in being indoctrinated to believe that creationists can't be scientists.
Because you're not.
We're talking about the past when we weren't there. We didn't see those tree rings actually forming. We didn't see those layers being laid down. It's like the dating methods. You're assuming things in regard to the past that aren't necessarily true.
Nobody uses carbon dating anymore, you fucking idiot.
I said we have the laws of logic, the uniformity of nature, and that only makes sense within a biblical worldview anyway, of a creator God who set up those laws, and that's why we can do good experimental science, because we assume those laws are true, and they'll be true tomorrow.
We know they'll be true tomorrow because we test them, you cunt.
We build models based upon the Bible, and those models are always subject to change. The fact of Noah's flood is not subject to change.
Everything is subject to change in science, oh my God.
What, if anything, would ever change your mind?
Well, the answer to that question is, I'm a Christian.
Oh, here it comes.
And as a Christian, I can't prove it to you.
Oh, he about to do it.
And no one's ever going to convince me that that the Word of God is not...
I'm going to shoot this man! Disclaimer, there's a huge difference between creationism and Christianity. Creationism is the belief that the world was literally created in about a week rather than several billion years, whereas Christianity is so fluid that in fact most Christians in the first world accept evolution for the explanation of biodiversity across the globe. Frankly, if I was still a Christian, I'd be embarrassed by the creationists making me look like a medieval idiot. Even the last dozen popes, including Ratzinger, accepted evolution. And Ratzinger's an asshole! The Vatican even has an astronomer. Not all Christians are medieval, so I'm just trying to make it clear that this is not a rant about religion. I honestly couldn't care less about who you pray to or what you do on Sundays. No, this is a rant about the blatant, outright denial of facts, in preference to nonsensical, mindless, childish, ignorant bullshit masquerading as science. This is a rant about creationism. Yeah, I know, I really hit rock bottom. Say what you want about him, but the reason Bill Nye said
we would just need one piece of evidence
is because he's a man who understands the scientific process. Stay open-minded and adjust your views based on the weight of the evidence. Ken Ham said nothing can change his mind. There is something fundamentally wrong with this statement. If you're not willing to change your mind no matter what, then you're pretty much fucking brainwashed. If, for example, evidence arises disproving my views on ghosts, horoscopes, and psychics, sure, I'll be embarrassed, but I'll accept it and change my mind instead of dragging on my outdated position for 200 more years. Now, I love you, Bill Nye, but in my opinion, this entire debate was useless. Admittedly fun to watch, but all it did was provide equal platform for two completely unequal positions. Evolution, backed with mountains upon mountains of data, facts, and evidence, and creationism, backed with specifically one out of several 100,000 religious texts, and a man who looks like the fucking missing link himself. It's because people love the word equality. But in this situation, it's like going to a doctor's office and asking for her word on the growing pains rupturing your spine, only to stop her halfway and introduce her to Lenny, the back wizard, who believes spines are actually scorpions from Venus sent to Earth to steal our Kinder eggs. Oh, how the fuck is that any more ridiculous than the Genesis story? What, it's not as realistic as the incest family from the Secret Garden who were kicked out by the Skyman because the rib woman ate the knowledge fruit from the talking snake? And that's a bit harsh, but creationism claims to be science, and that pisses me off, because it's lying. Charles Darwin and other naturalists in the 1800s, such as Alfred Wallace, collected a sufficient amount of evidence to conclude that all life on planet Earth share common ancestry with one another, from plants to animals to whatever Michael Cera is. This chaotic but balanced process is called evolution through natural selection. Evolution being the random and subtle genetic mutation spawned when two organisms fuck each other dry, and natural selection the subsequent extinction of species whose mutations were not suited for their surrounding environment. So let's say a frog gives birth to a cluster of babies, each one subtly different from one another because of the mixing of DNA. Some of them have slightly short and stubby legs, while the others have legs for days, and every variant in between. Then an arsehole snake comes along and tries to eat them. The short-legged frogs get eaten for obvious reasons, and the long-legged frogs don't have enough energy to support the extra length. Wish I knew what that was like. But the frogs with the perfect energy-to-mass ratio managed to escape and spread their genes. Multiply this over billions of years with 99.9% of extinct species on this planet. Now, creationist science. God made the earth in 6 days and everything on it. Okay, that's not an explanation. If creationism never claims to be science, then I wouldn't be having this issue, but it does. And what makes it worse is they've tried over and over to teach it in schools in America as legitimate science. If you're teaching kids that science, the most critical and rational form of thinking, is nothing but believing in magic because you like it, what do you think that's going to do to the next generation? Sure, the practical stuff in science is important, but the concept of science is the key to progress. It's humility. It's accepting when you're wrong. And creationists are so insecure about their beliefs that they'd rather lie to their children and let them grow up to be critical, creative thinkers. One of the candidates for this year's US presidential election was a creationist. I mean, the alternatives weren't any better, but still, Jesus Christ.
Alright matey, what's your language? I've had enough of you taking the podium. Where's my time to talk? Where's equal balance?
Didn't I just explain to you that these positions aren't equal?
Explanations are useless. I prefer emotional appeal and unrelated metaphors.
Alright, my viewers are a lot smarter than that. Right, guys?
Okay, so God made the earth in 6 days and...
Yes, I already read that out to them.
And you're still not convinced?
No, because it's not an explanation. Telling a story isn't evidence.
Oh, don't talk to me about evidence. If evolution happens, then why don't we see it every day?
Because we can barely comprehend a year, let alone a million years. How do we know wind and water erode rocks? Because we can measure and estimate. In the same way our knowledge of geology estimates the origins of canyons and caves, biologists across the globe, religious or not, collectively agree on the origin of today's living species. You know you can believe in a creator without believing every single Bible story to the point.
Well, if everything isn't orchestrated by a divine being, then why is there so much beauty in the world? Why do I tear up when I look at a valley of beautiful trees? Why is there so much order and peace in this world that was clearly made for us?
No, you're doing that emotional appeal thing again, stop it. And to answer your question, the concept of beauty originated from survival benefits. For example, we find trees and high vantage points appealing because of early survival tactics. The animals who didn't feel compelled to hide from predators and grow attachment to these things died very easily. Our emotions are descended from the survival instincts based on the ever-changing ecosystem at the time, as to do with order and peace. Are you sure about that? If there's so much order, then why does the vast majority of the overpopulating human race suffer en masse on a daily basis? I'm not talking about man-made sin. Why did the bubonic plague happen? Why are there floods and droughts? Why are there psychopaths who, for no other reason than their unfortunate biological disabilities and unpredictable temperaments, cause misery to those across the globe? I think claiming that there's so much order in the world is a very ignorant statement to make when you live happily in your big house in Kentucky. You're looking at the world like a puddle looks at the hole it's in and says, I fit here perfectly. I must have been created. You're confusing observation with desire. I admire your passion, but you have to be more self-aware that—
You're no scientist.
I never said I was, and neither are you. Your museum isn't even a real museum, it has no artifacts. You literally just have models and signs for your headcanon of the universe. But if me, a 21-year-old who uses a fucking blue dinosaur as a persona on the internet, can understand the basics of middle school biology, so can a 64-year-old caveman-looking cunt like you. You pseudo-religious conspiracy theorists claim we don't come from apes, but ironically all you do is throw nothing but shit at me. Also, what's this?
What?
This. I saw this in your museum.
That's a triceratops with a saddle.
I know, but why?
Because humans lived alongside dinosaurs on this 6,000-year-old Earth. The meteorite your evolutionists talk about never happened. Evolutionists talk about never happened. Never happened. Never happened. Never happened. Never happened. Never happened. Bung, you alright, mate?
Yeah, no, sorry about that. You're right. You're right. The Earth is only 6,000 years old. Forget everything I just said.
I already have.
Nice. Hey, do you want to come over to my place for dinner?
That sounds lovely.
Here we are. Everybody, we have a guest. Be nice.
Aye.
Oh, I left my wallet outside. Silly me. I'll be right back.
Would you like some potato salad? Is that a 100-kilometer asteroid heading right for us?
This just in, excavators in northern Mexico have just uncovered something that will shock the science community. The fossilized remains of a primitive Neanderthal in a gray suit, leading scientists to speculate that our early cousins dressed like boring car salesmen.
Close enough.